Good evening from here, right now, live in the Sports for Dummies HQ, which counts as my bedroom and host's bedroom as well. Hope you are well for everyone listening at home. This is the Sports for Dummies podcast. Welcome back to Series 6, Episode 3, Trois, if you're listening in France, and I don't know other numbers in other languages. This is the Sports for Dummies podcast.
Right, we have a set intro, and you're going well off piece, man.
Oh, I'll do it again then, fine. I thought I'd be different today.
Fine. No, keep it going.
I had a rhythm
good.
going and you just interrupt. You know, Hope does this regularly, right? I had a motion going. What's that song called? World in Motion by New Order. I was rocking and rolling and it got a smash and it smashed. Anyway, come back to the most important point. We are talking today about the three biggest stories, sporting stories that is, of the week, going all the way from the international sporting news all the way down to the niche stories of all. If you know anything or nothing about sports, this is the podcast for you, for stories that you hopefully have missed out on in the world of sports over this week. And before I get kicked off with the news, Hope, how's it going?
I'm on a health kick. I've
You're
got
on
my
a health
lemon.
kick?
I've got my lemon water. I've done my meal prep.
That's lasted how long? Well, sorry, go on. You say.
Go on. What?
Well, I was going to say that sounds like a New Year's resolution in April.
No, I just realised that. Hope you got to be healthier. Come on, lady. Though I don't want to miss out on Mum's cooking, so like I'm only gonna eat the meal prep for lunchtime. So I'm basically eating more. But
it's like
it will
it's
have
like
an
saying,
effect, I'm sure.
It's like, so I am a vegan, but I do eat meat like in the evening. So sort of at lunchtime I don't eat meat because I'm a vegan, but for dinner I do eat meat. Or I don't like wine really, but after 6 p.m. Sort of that.
Look, I'm doing a bit of it. Anyway, more excitingly than that, I went to see the Rangers game against St Mirren.
Yes.
Is that St Mirren? The other week in Glasgow, and it was amazing. My first ever football game.
Good. What was the score again?
5-2.
It was 5. I knew it was a good. Oh, yeah, I knew it was a bit of a goal fest. I thought it was. Yeah. You saw Alfredo Morelos, some of the lads up there.
There was one guy who's from Dereham, which is Norfolk. I forgot his name. Blonde bloke.
Do you remember what the ground was called?
Ibrox.
Well done. That's good. Well, look, I'm glad. Hope that's cool. It's very exciting that you went to a football game. Your first one, hopefully first of plenty to come.
Yeah, and I got a scarf. Rangers scarf. I'm gonna. If I go to more, I'm gonna just keep getting scarves. But I've been told do not get a half and half scarf.
You can't get a half.
Not
and half
okay.
scarf.
Not
it's
okay.
Really, really embarrassing.
Not good. What I did see from you is that you went to the basketball.
I did. I went to the London Lions, Hope. Very interesting at the Copper Box Arena. Same time as well on that Sunday as West Ham when they were playing Arsenal. That game ended 2-2. So as we came out, all the West Ham fans came out and we went to a local... Well, actually, interestingly, because you know it well, because Hope worked at the Hope and Ball and Tie.
Did you go to the bat and ball?
No, I didn't. I don't have time. But because I didn't go to Stratford. You get off at Hackney Wick and then you walk. It's closer. But we went to Hackney Wick. Anyway, I was going to say, right, normally people say Stratford, horrible area, completely gentrified. Like, it's been completely done. People always talk about, going down West Ham. Traditionally, West Ham was a terrible place to go. It was quite a sort of a rough and ready ground. Whereas going there, it was like, well, we went in Hackney Wick. It was lovely, very posh.
I actually feel offended about all this reputation that you're telling me about because I lived there for 5 years and I never realised it had a reputation. It's all lovely around there. I used to be running around the Olympic Park and there's like benches everywhere that you can lie on. There's river and canoes and there's pubs and there's bars. It's bloody lovely.
Oh, it's definitely been done up. I hope you're exactly right. It definitely has been done up. But kind of traditionally, people would have said that sort of the Olympic Stadium round that way wasn't that nice. And then people often have that stereotype about East London. But actually, that absolutely stamps that out because where we went was amazing. We went to this outdoor. It was sort of just about, it was warm enough. I was in a jumper and a jeans outside. It was just about warm enough for that. And we just got a drink or two and sat and had fun with the West Ham fans who were pleased with the point. But no, come back to the most important point. The basketball, yes, the basketball was it was interesting. It was fun. I did enjoy it, but it's a very family orientated atmosphere, which is absolutely fine. But it is built really for families, to be honest.
And what? Because you prefer lads. Is that more your scene? Because I feel like that's not.
But I mean, like atmosphere. Like for atmosphere, when you hear defense. There's only so much of that you can take before it's like really irritating. And it was quite interesting because, and again, I would absolutely love to do PA at London Lions if they're listening to this right now. I would love to get involved. But it's interesting how, say in America, obviously, when you go let's say we're talking about, I don't know, let's go Lakers, right? You'd go, let's go Lakers, dum, 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 dum. In England, they'll go, let's go Lion, and they'll turn it into America. So it doesn't, it's not really that you wouldn't say let's go Lions. It went let's go Lions, and it would kind of felt. Do you know what I mean? It just felt a bit too for me,
Weird.
or like it would go. It's time for defense. And it just didn't. There was something at the atmosphere where I was like,
you wanted some more Britishness. You wanted some cup of teas and some English flags.
Oh no! I'm more than happy to go all American, but if we're going American, we've got to do it right. You can't just go half. You can't go half in. It'd be like if we were going over there to watch the football and they started doing a chant in an English accent and then turn it into American. It just felt strange. But the truth is, you obviously can't say defense in English. It's defense, so you can't go defense. Defense, because it doesn't work. It has to be defense. But what I mean is, I'd rather consistency.
Defense.
You can't shout defense because it just sounds stupid.
I do say defense. Defense.
Yeah, defense. But listen, exactly. For the beat has to be defense. There can't be defense.
Defense. Defense. It sounds like you're saying over the fence.
Yeah, it just sounds silly. Anyway, the point was the game was good. London Lions won comfortably, and they've got some great players. It was a nice atmosphere. It was, at least the bonus was there was some noise for one, and for two, there was a bit of a bubble. There was a bit of a vibe. Like, it wasn't like sitting in silence. There were 50 people there. There was a bit of an atmosphere, but yeah, it was good to go and visit. I enjoyed it.
Does Ovi play for that team? Ovi soccer.
I think he might do, yes, but he wasn't playing.
Yeah, I know all about him.
Of course you do. Love Island. See, I know nothing about Love Island. That's the problem.
I have watched Love Island in years. Can I just say, like, put it out there? And
really?
I only ever watched Love Island when I was making content about Love Island to try and help me get somewhere in my career. Right? I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not a Love Island fan.
No.
I may have applied for it about 3 times. I may have. I'm not making any promise. I might have, but I'm not a fan.
You on Love Island? I wonder what that would be really.
Wouldn't it be great?
There we go. Anyway, moving on. We'll move on to story number 1 finally. And we're actually talking about a quite well needed story. It's got a sad element to it, so not a slight warning, but it's some sensitive topic. We're actually talking about a dementia fund which has recently been raised, and we're talking about this dementia fund which is being led by the Premier League, and it's very close now to being agreed. Hopefully, it should be announced in the next 1 to 2 months. Fans are guessing. Now, there are currently talks over vital help for ex-players suffering from neurodegenerative diseases. I had to get those out there. Neurodegenerative diseases. And that has been ongoing. So basically, a charity is expected to be launched, and long-term residential care costs are set to be covered, because lots of players who have been suffering from neurodegenerative diseases or illnesses haven't been treated in the best way.
And that's because of the headers and things in the game and training.
That's right, Hope. So research has actually shown that ex-pros are 3.5 times more likely to die from dementia than the general public. Now, roughly 200 former footballers in England have a neurodegenerative illness. And last month, a Swedish study, very interestingly, found that footballers are 50% more likely to develop dementia in later life than those who don't play. That's for both men and women heading the ball. And basically, the reason why this has all come about is quite a few people have been campaigning for various footballers that have suffered through dementia. And there are some really eye-opening documentaries about dementia. And you know, you can speak to lots of people nowadays, and it feels very often that dementia is very close to home. I think if you went back, say, 10 or 15 years, I wouldn't say it was a stigma, but a bit like mental health, I don't think there was that awareness and understanding around it. Whereas now, people really appreciate the effect dementia has on not only someone's life, but the family around them. And so the charity, as I said, nothing's been signed off just yet. And it's likely an interim sort of measure is going to be set up to help. But basically, there are the charity is going to be sort of made up of a panel of experts who will basically dictate where the money goes. Because currently, no money is given towards those that are having to live in either care homes or have care, which costs about £60,000 to £80,000 a year. If you're living in a full-time care home with dementia, it's a lot of money. So yeah, hopefully this charity will make quite a big difference to lots of people's lives.
I don't want to make this silly because it is obviously a serious topic, and I'm pleased to hear that's happening. My grandma's got dementia, and sometimes you have to laugh, if not you'll cry. And I went to see her today.
Yeah,
I found her in the dining room. She was sitting on a table with all these old ladies, and she was happy to see me. She doesn't normally call me my name. She just calls me lovely girl. I'm like, well, they're always worse nicknames.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've been called worse. We're sitting on this table and it was me and these other ladies. And I think there was two of them who were more coherent. I think they obviously have dementia of some sort, but not as bad as my grandma.
Mhm.
So my grandma started telling these stories, which had no ending, that had no sense in any which way. And I was just saying, yeah, like you do. And this old lady went, what are you on about? I don't know what you're talking about. And then this other one went to me, she went, she's in a dreamland. I went, oh, yeah, I know. But as long as she's happy, she went, well, she is for now.
Oh.
So yeah, it was a fun visit. Anyway, but dementia is obviously a very serious thing, and it can be quite surprising for some people to hear that it can be a cause of death. And that's a little bit confusing because, surely it's just people forgetting things and getting muddled. But actually, your body forgets how to do really important functions, like you forget how to swallow. So you can't eat anymore. And that's how you deteriorate. And it is a really sad way to go, especially if it's a consequence of your career in a sport.
Yes.
So it's really good that the work's being done to support those people.
Absolutely hope. No, you're exactly right. And thank you for sharing that story because it's obviously quite personal, but you're right. If you don't laugh, you cry. And then I think the other thing as well is that people don't necessarily realize, and I've had people close to me experience and go through dementia. It also affects people in different ways. So no, a bit like a cold or any illness you can get, no dementia is the same. And like you were saying, one person could be slightly coherent and know what was going on, and others just have absolutely no idea. Or equally, you can ask, I know of someone who you can speak to and you ask them a certain question about, in 1960, whatever, you'll go, what do you remember of this? And they will literally reel off like they're reading a storybook, something, and you'll ask them what they had for breakfast and they won't. And it's, I completely understand, and that's right. So the Players Foundation have basically announced, Hope, that there are going to be 333 grants to 77 former players with dementia. Now, the costs currently don't cover residential care. So again, we will have to wait and see. Like I said, hopefully they will make some, they will, sort of subsidize for some of that because it is very, very expensive. But it's just really good news because it's been a long time coming, and the talk around dementia has been going on for years and years and years. And there are lots of Premier League footballers who have come out and have said it, spoken about it, whether they're ex-England or whoever. And there's a stat actually from the 1966 winning World Cup side, Sir Bobby Charlton, Sir Geoff Hurst, Jack Charlton, Martin Peters, Ray Wilson, Nobby Stiles, and Sir Alf Ramsey, a few of which of those have passed away. They all suffered from dementia in that team, and it's come out more and more that side. And yeah, in that team, out of 11 players or however many were in the squad, at the time that this was written, the article that I've just found, there were 4 people who died with dementia. That was in 2020. And I think there could have been one more that passed away. I can't remember. Either way, the point to tell you is dementia has a massive effect on lots of people's lives. And it's amazing finally that something is being done after really, I would say, really substantial work. So there you are. That's story number 1.
It makes it even more scary and real when you bring names into it. I'm not necessarily think it should, but it makes it more shocking. Also, this number of people who are being helped with the grants now, I'm really interested to know what's going to happen moving forward, because unless the rules change of the game, which they haven't yet, if I'm not mistaken, because people still do headers, then they're going to have to, this isn't going to be a thing that's fixed with these 333 people. They're going to have something in place.
The truth is, heading won't change. It will exist forever. Although there are protocols in England, like I believe if you're in an under 10s team, you're not allowed to head the ball. And you've got to remember too, as well, and I'm not saying for 1 minute, there was actually an article that came out that I'd read that said that there is, obviously, you think about football then versus football now, how many more football teams there are and people playing football in the world, the dementia rate will really only increase given how popular football is, to be honest. And I'm sure there are plenty of cases out there where dementia is only just being diagnosed. So again, those stats firstly don't lie, and we'll have to wait and see. But I think the point that you're right. The more people that play football, the more they're likely to suffer dementia. Although there are now protocols in place, because you do have to remember back in 1966, they were heading a leather ball, whereas now...
I was going to say to you, is the ball different?
Yeah, massively. The ball's changed tenfold. You know, the aerodynamism of the ball, the lightness, the impact it has. Those guys were heading effectively not rocks, but you've got to think like if you
No, it was
imagine.
like, wasn't it made out of like pig or something?
Yeah, it was leather. It was like pigskin, or like they were made out of all sorts of things. And you see them. I've seen them in football museums, and they're stitched together, and they are these horrible, big looking things. They're big and round, and you can tell they weigh an absolute ton. So
They are round if they're a ball.
yeah, well, some of them.
Wouldn't let you get away with that one.
No. Well, you take the mick, but some of them obviously were sewn dodgy. So not all football was rolled in exactly how you hope, because obviously it isn't as clever now where you have it like laser 3D.
Some of them would be like Stewie Griffin's head rolling down the field.
Exactly like an NFL ball. But there you go. Yeah. So that is story number 1, Hope, all wrapped up.
Well, if you've been affected by that story, or you know someone who has and you'd like to get in touch, feel free. sportsdummiespodcast@gmail.com. Moving on to story number 2.
Hope, we're talking, I would argue today, about the Glastonbury of sports. Now, I'm gonna explain this in just a second. We're talking about Paris 2024 Olympics.
Way!
And by the way, if you didn't get the reference earlier, for those listening now that are still tuned in, thank you. My reference to twat was because we were talking about Paris. So there you go.
So right, well, I wasn't to know. I wasn't to know.
Like a stupid introduction. Then you didn't know that I was pulling it out the bag.
But now the audience know that I don't know the stories before we start recording. It's always a surprise, which means my responses are genuine.
This is true. Genuine and way too judgmental. Anyway, we're talking about the Glastonbury, the Glastonbury of sports. Now, the 2024 Olympics are more than a year away. We've still got a long time to go. But I thought this was quite interesting because it popped on my feed and I thought, actually, this is just quite unique. So the local organising committee in Paris have announced that for the second round, or a lot of tickets, they've received over 4 million applications and they can only sell 1.5 million tickets. So they've had over double what they're expecting. Now, that process begins on the 11th of May, so the time of recording is in a couple of weeks' time. Now, in the first phase, 3.25 million tickets have been sold already, and it's quite interesting, Hope, because I wanted to take some guesses. Obviously, you worked near the Olympic Stadium, so I thought it'd be worth asking. In fact, you went to an Olympic?
I'm sorry, I'm frowning just because I'm thinking, if they haven't got the capacity, why are they allowing people to buy the tickets? They're going to have to refund them.
No. Right, okay. We need to rewind because we've clearly jumped.
Because I'm thinking that is naughty.
Listen, no. They have 1.5 million tickets available. They've had 4 million people enter. So not everyone can buy a ticket. So
right, okay.
So my reference to Glastonbury was, like Glastonbury, 650 gazillion people sign up and 200,000 go.
Right, so when you thought about Glastonbury and you mentioned Glastonbury twice, I was like, all right, Lewis, we get the point. I thought you were just excited about Glastonbury.
No.
I was like, why do you keep saying about Glastonbury? Like,
Glasgow, yeah. No, it's not. It has nothing to do with Glasgow. It's to do with the fact that it relates to it because obviously
you go on a waiting list.
Yeah, people sit there for 15 hours, all their little tabs open, we're hoping they get on the website. Reason why this story is interesting now is because the second lot of resale just happened for Glastonbury and the tickets are now gone, finito, sold out. Are you going? I'm not going, no. No, I would love to go. I didn't actually bother this year. To be fair, the lineup for me, I wasn't totally thrilled. And I feel like with Glasgow, there's always people you can see. There's always there's loads of stages to go to. But I feel like with the headlines, you want to go for a big year. And I'm not a massive Elton John fan, so I'm like, yeah.
Oh, is he headlining?
Yeah, I think I can tell you the 3.
I'm like totally over festivals in general. I mean, I only camped at one, but that was one was enough. All my stuff got sold on the first night. One was enough. And I'm just like, I'd rather stay in a bougie spa.
I don't blame you. So we've got the headliners are Arctic Monkeys, Guns N' Roses, Elton John and Lizzo are the 4 really big names. Now, Arctic Monkeys, loads of fun. Guns N' Roses, I think they're great. Elton John, I said, I'm not a massive fan. And Lizzo...
But you're a huge Lizzo fan, aren't you? You love Lizzo. I thought you had a poster in your old house of Lizzo.
Are you taking the Michael?
No, I'm not.
Hope. Sorry.
I thought you loved Lizzo. You told me before that you really liked her.
No, I hope I've not had a poster of Lizzo. I've never told you I like Lizzo. You're talking about the wrong boy. You've got me mixed up with someone else that you do a podcast with, because that is definitely nothing against Lizzo personally. I'm just not a big Lizzo fan.
Well, could have fooled me.
Blimey, yeah. Well, clearly, I mean, you were sold, weren't you? Anyway, now it's quite interesting, Hope, because I want to take a little guess. Now, so quite a few of the tickets, by the way, this was done at the time of recording, which is in late April. What's the call?
Give the precise date. It's the 25th,
Okay, all right, the 25th,
of April.
The 25th of April. And the reason why I'm saying that is because obviously the pound to euro and all that stuff can change dramatically. So I thought I would give the currency exchange.
All right, Mr. Bitcoin.
All right, but when we get low, when our cash flies in and they're worth nothing.
Bitcoin, put it on your bio on Instagram.
Hope, I want you to actually, okay, I'm going to take the mic now and you're going to get this wrong and I'm going to enjoy it. I want you to guess, what is the most expensive event throughout the whole duration of the Olympics from beginning to end? What is it? What's the most expensive event?
Ooh. I bet it's to do with the horses.
Okay.
No?
Well, no.
Well, I was going to go with my favourite one.
Which is what?
Gymnastics.
No. Now...
Ping pong.
No. Now, the most expensive... Oh, I'm not taking any more guesses after that. You've run out of luck. Now, the most expensive event, Hope, is actually the opening ceremony. The most expensive ticket at that.
Oh, that's not fair.
Yeah, I said opening to end.
No, that's not a sport.
Huh? I said opening.
You made me think you were talking about what sport was the most
expensive
expensive
sport. Well, you guessed blimmin' ping pong. The answer's the 100-meter final. It always is and it always will be. That doesn't ever change. Now, interestingly, Hope, the most expensive sporting event that is at the Olympics is actually the men's 100-meter final. The tickets are going for £863. I didn't tell you though, the opening ceremony, the most expensive ticket was $2,400, which is a stupid amount of money. Now, Hope, before...
do you buy a ticket for the event you want to see, or do you have the whole day?
Now, this is the thing that's quite interesting. So the events are actually sold on an individual basis. So you're correct. You would buy the ticket for the day. Now, many of the tickets are worth only about 20 quid, to be fair. So lots of them are really cheap. The really popular ones, as we've said, men's 100-meter, women's 100-meter final, those all are expensive. Inevitably, that's kind of how it is. But you buy the tickets on the day and you get the choice when you get through the queue. If you get through the queue, that is, you get a choice of 2 days and you get to pick your day, wherever one you go to. And you go. Now, I thought I would give some context for people listening, because again, people will be sitting at home going, this doesn't mean anything to me, Lewis. Give me some reasoning behind why this is interesting. So organisers expect that ticket sales is going to be worth £1.2 billion, which is nearly 1/3 of the £3.9 billion budget for Paris. Now, to give some context for people listening, London 2012, 10.99 million tickets sold, so about the same, going to give or take, right? 76% of the Olympic tickets, 91% of Paralympic tickets sold, but that was barely any of the budget. Our overall budget was 2.4 billion, and that ticket sales was nothing. It was nowhere near a third. So Paris have smashed it in terms of charging people big money. And again, that's the interesting point we can talk about. Inflation from 2012 to 2024. It's a huge gap, huge
Interesting.
Jump. Well, you charge... No, it is, but we spoke about it before. All right, look, anyway, I think it's
I'm joking. What I wanted to say, though, is when you're saying the word budget, that is like a forecast of what they're going to make rather than how much they're spending on the event, right?
No. The overall budget is what they're actually spending. So that's the expenditure on the stadiums, the events, flying people, hotels, all that.
So in terms of what you're saying the tickets are actually making up.
Yes. So normally it's only made back from revenue through the streaming. It'll be done through advertising, all that sort of thing.
Traveling, people like tourism.
Exactly. Whereas this actually is being made back massively from ticket sales alone, which is huge. So actually, Paris 2024 could be a massive profit for the country, as in the country of France, of course. So there you go. Thought that was story number 2. And au revoir to you.
And move into story number 3.
Hope, we're actually sticking in France again. I didn't realise this took place in France, and I've been waiting for this for ages because we didn't record last week. So I've been saving this story up, and boy, am I ready to tell it. So we're talking about a dinosaur.
Oh.
Which sounds very random. Now, a team of cyclists broke the Guinness World Record. Yes. See, Hope's face lit up there.
I saw this. I think it was Lad Bible that posted it.
Tell me about it, Hope. What do you remember?
There was a record broken for riding a bike for a amount of time, wasn't it? And he made on the map A dinosaur.
I hope you're right, but it wasn't a he, it was a they. There was quite a few of them, actually. Now, a team of cyclists, they broke the Guinness World Record for the largest GPS drawing. They created a velociraptor shape. Oh, it was actually a velociraptor. I think it was a great idea, amazingly done. They cycled a total of 1,025 kilometers. Now, that was undertaken by a few French cyclists on Strava. That's an app that you can use for running, use it for cycling. And
We've spoken about this before because someone else did it.
Yes, that's right. Someone made a moustache for, or a beard for, what's it
November.
called? November. You're dead on. Thank you. Now, it took 6 days to do. The route began in southern France. They crossed multiple counties. They went all over the place. The shape is amazing. They must have spent hours meticulously planning the roads they needed to go down and how they made the dots. Because it is, honestly, it is fantastic. Like, in my head, it's sort of those memes of like you versus the guy she tells you not to worry about. And it could have come out as like this sort of squiggly line with strange little arms. This thing looks exactly like a velociraptor. And the reason, interestingly of all, is one of the team that did it, called Maxine, came out and said, dinosaurs are proof that such a strong species can quickly become extinct. If we are the main culprits of this environmental crisis, but also its victims. As such, the future is in our hands, and cycling is one of the best ways to contribute to change. So their previous ventures, Hope, interestingly, in 2020, they did a 200-kilometer T-Rex on Strava as well. And in 2021, they did a 200-kilometer Diplodocus, or some people say Diplodocus, depends on how way you say it. So
that'd be a long neck, wouldn't it?
But it's only 200 meters, so 200 Ks. So it's obviously not as big as. It's obviously not as. Oh, it might have been as big, to be fair. I don't know. I see what you mean. It might be. But the point is, 1,000 Ks is enormous in comparison. Hope, I was going to ask you, if you had to pick a animal to ride or do, whether it's extinct or not extinct, what are you picking and why?
Well, I've been compared to a dolphin in the past, so I'm going to go with dolphin.
And why is that? I mean, you've got so many traits like a dolphin.
Go on.
You cackle. I mean, no.
I do cackle, yeah.
I don't really know. Yeah, that was kind of it, really, the jokes.
No, someone said to me once, my face looks like a dolphin. So I'm leaning into it.
You didn't say that as a compliment, did you?
No, I didn't. It was a hater. What I'm saying is, I'm leaning into the hate.
Good.
Right?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay.
Think what you want. I will use it to my advantage. I will ride my bike and I will make a dolphin face.
But I feel like if you're doing an animal in the sea, you have to ride your bike in the sea.
Nah.
Why not?
The only thing I want to ride in the sea is a horse, like the Lloyd's TSB adverts.
Why do people get so obsessed? I don't understand that ever. I've seen people doing that. The irony is, actually, that's a funny story. I saw people doing that on holiday somewhere or another. And people make out, again, it's the meme of you versus the guy she tells you not to worry about. That advert.
You love that meme today.
It's a great meme. That advert, right? You've got the horse powering, striding through the sea. I saw people doing it, right? And you could put some like funny music under it. They were literally, I mean, the horse is like what they call toenail. It literally wasn't even in the water. All right, whatever. The point is, the part of the foot was barely in the water, and they're going, "Wow, this is amazing!" I would get more wet, literally standing on the shore, not even by the sea, than they did. We were the same amount of like.
Well, they're not doing it to get wet, are they? They're doing it to have fun.
Yeah, but no. The way they were making it out was like they were about to get soaked, and it was going to be this crazy adventure. And they were more dry than a unseasoned chicken with no seasoning on it. What animal am I picking?
I didn't ask you, but okay.
Well, I'll answer anyway because you don't. Yeah, I do the questions, not you. What would I pick? I don't know. I think it depends on. Again, it depends on the size, because there are some animals I think that you couldn't do, like as an example, you can do a small giraffe. That wouldn't work. You'd have to do a big giraffe. In my head, I'd do two. I'd either do, might be a bit hard to make out though. You have to pick something that's quite obvious. I'd like to do a red panda.
I think a snail would be quite good to do because the shell would be fun.
Yeah, snail's a great one. I think another fun one would be like an elephant would be cool, or I feel like lion, tiger, dog, they all get lost again in translation. I feel like you need things that are really obvious. People, that wraps up episode number 3. Hope, would you like to see us out for this evening?
I will do the honours. Thank you so much for listening. If you got this far in the podcast, well done. We have loved being here, as always. If you've got anything that you want to tell us, any stories that we may have missed, any comments on the stories that we spoke about, please get in touch. Or if you just want to say hi, also, sportsfordummiespodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on all the socials. And if you're not already following, please go and do so. You can also find us on YouTube if you're listening to this, if you want to watch us. And if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, please give us a little cheeky review. 5 stars would be wonderful, and a little comment, because it really helps. I think I've said everything.
Hope that was absolutely perfect. Guys, thank you so much for listening today. Have a lovely rest of your week or day, wherever you're listening from at the time of listening. And we will catch you again very soon.
On the flip side, love you, Lewis.
Love you too. Bye.